Hi everyone, let's have a look at the Chinese electric vehicle market. We can see that the weekly insurance registration numbers just came in and it's looking quite good, I think, for a lot of our companies. Again, in the usual, stuff, the blue is Tesla, the white is Nio, the yellow is Xpeng, and the green one is LiAuto. And remember that LiAuto, these numbers include, mostly of their plug-in electric vehicles, so they are, hybrids. But I think it's good to have LiAuto there just to see that they're for kind of comparison. But looking at Tesla, we can see that over the past, I don't know, like if you go through entire, let's say 2024, Tesla has been in a league of their own, obviously, compared to, Xiaopeng and Nio. No one is surprised by that. And then we can see that as time went on, LiAuto started to kind of increase their output. And by end of the year, for the second half, LiAuto is essentially on a rough basis on the same kind of level as Tesla in China. Remember, Tesla sells a lot of car outside China as well, whereas a lot of these other three companies there doesn't sell a whole lot of cars in China, which also will, be affecting the stock price. We can see that the stock price again for Nio and Xpeng is really bad, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's due to the another, negative headlines about EU tariffs on Chinese EVs. To be honest, I think this is a scaremongering tactic. Every other week you have these kind of headlines. European Union is going to add more tariffs, and soon they're going to have a billion, trillion, quadzillion, percentage of additional tariff. But it doesn't matter because NIO doesn't sell a whole lot of cars in Europe. They can grow in the Chinese market, in the internal Chinese market, for multiple years, probably decade before they saturate that market. Chinese electric vehicle market is the largest, not only vehicle market but also electric vehicle market. It's growing very fast, much faster than the European or the American market. So who cares if the European Union puts tariffs on -3 units of cars that Nio or Xpeng sells in Europe? No one cares, and I think this is just scaremongering. And to be honest, it's a bit tiresome. And I think, yeah, if I'm honest, I think this is, definitely part of the 4 or 5% down for NIO today is due to the stupid, EU tariffs. But again, on the fundamentals, it doesn't matter because look at this. Starting the year, Tesla was like selling on average, maybe if you average these numbers, I don't know, 10,000 cars a week for the first 2 3 months, right? Whereas NIO and Xiaopeng were at maybe averaging 2,000, and for NIO maybe 2.5 or 3,000 at best. So Tesla had like 3 to 4 times, maybe 5 times more sales than Nio or Xpeng in the beginning of the year. But as time goes on, obviously you should never look at a single week or so. But if you look at, now the yellow line and the white line compared to Tesla, I think everyone can see that over the past, let's say 8 to 10 weeks, due to the release of newer cars, in regards to Xiaopeng, they released their sedan, Xpeng Mona 3, which is very, very competitive with Tesla Model 3. I think it's maybe like half of the price or something stupid like that. And it offers basically same kind of quality as the Tesla Model 3. And then we have Nio's second sub-brand, Onvo, with their Onvo L60, which is essentially a Model Y competitor. And I would say much better value than Model Y and probably better car, if I have to be honest. So when you look at all of that, I think you can see that as we go on now, I genuinely believe that both Neo and Xiaopeng will have, at the bare minimum, 40%, maybe 50-60% of Tesla's China sales. And maybe this is not a huge problem for Tesla because they will grow in the other markets as well. But I do think this is a huge bullish sign for Neo and Xpeng. And this is gonna, help them a lot, especially considering that also the lithium carbonate price continues to go down. We know that the lithium carbonate price consists of, making up around 3 to 4% of each battery cell. Maybe not the battery pack level, but on a battery cell level, I think it's like 3%. It has to do with the electrolyte, and yeah, I think it's quite substantial part of the battery cost, and that actually affects the margins of these companies. And remember that they do kind of contracts, and we don't know how that contract looks between Nio and the battery manufacturer. It could be like BYD or LG Chem that makes those batteries, and we don't know when this kind of downward pressure on the lithium carbonate price will start to show up in the battery packs and also on the respective car manufacturers' gross margin. But what we know is that as time goes on, it will come and help the gross margin more and more. And looking at the stock price again, I would say that at 11 billion for Nio now, I think this is very cheap. Remember that the stock price of Nio is gonna, in my opinion, be kinda, if you look at it right this way, look at the market above just below 12 billion, and if we go here to Nio's delivery expected deliveries, we had 20,000 for 5 straight months, and currently month to date we are around 20,500 with 4 working days left. So I would say with let's say 60 to 80% of a normal week delivery output left, which would mean that we could easily see. I think we'll definitely see a all-time high record for Nio in the October numbers, which will be launched in less than a week from now. So I'm really looking forward to that. And if you look at the comparison between last year, which was the green bars, and this year, which is the blue bars, look at how much farther ahead we are kind of going now. Sure, they had 2 months last year, July and August, which was great, but we have 5 straight months of basically 20,000 or so cars delivered. And as time goes on, we will see that the Onvo deliveries will add to the 20,000 or so Nio deliveries. Actually, if you look at my numbers, you can see here that I started to add for the last 4 weeks. So I separated Nio Total, Nio Classic, which is the traditional Nio cars, and also Onvo. And you can see they're kind of ramping up at 200, 900, 900 last week, and 1200 this week. And you can see that looking at the pace of increase, it's actually really close to what they said. Remember that the CEO or the CFO said in September earnings, or maybe it was at earnings, but in September they said that they were expecting to have around 5,000 cars delivered in October for Onvo, and 10,000 in December, and in January 16,000, and in March maybe 20,000. So essentially half a year from now. And I think that's very realistic because we are already around 3,000 or 3,200 for Onvo, maybe close to, let's say close to 4,000 by end of the month. And if you think about 10K for December, we would be probably at 7.5K for November, right? So let's go back to the monthly delivery bars comparison between this year and last year. So if we let's say maybe 26,000 is a bit of a stretch, but maybe 24,000 or 25,000 is more realistic. But I think 29,000 for November is doable. And even if it's not, let's say 27, that's still a huge increase, more than probably 60% increase or so. No, sorry, it's more than that. If we have 27,000 in November, and there was I would say more than 50% increase in year on year. So I'm really happy with these numbers. I think finally we are seeing like not only sporadic, a couple of good months like in July and August of 2023, but actual, continuous stable growth for Nio. Now, as we go into the Q3 expected numbers, we're gonna have, in my opinion, almost all-time high, maybe even surpass the Q3 of last year, which was the all-time high in terms of the revenue. But we're gonna be very close, most likely beat it as well. And then we'll see that the net income, in this case the net loss, will kind of go down by another 2.39% compared to the previous quarter, which is also another 3.3 improvement compared to the Q1. So that's all good. The only problem is that, or maybe not a problem, but I would have loved to see this number decrease faster. So the net loss should decrease faster in a optimal world, but it doesn't, because you can see that in Q2 the quarter over quarter change in terms of revenue was 75%, vehicle sales was 85 or 86%, and vehicle delivery increase was 91%. But the net income or net loss decreased only by 3.3%. So I would have loved this to be better, and we know that a lot of issues are coming from the Nios, let's say, infrastructure or the battery swap business. We know that they make break even around 60 swaps per station, and currently we are projected to be just below 40 swaps per station at end of the year. So that's going in the right direction because we started the beginning of the year at around the low 20s and we're gonna finish the year almost at 40. So I'm very happy with that. We know that the other income, so the which is the other sales for Nio, is definitely gonna decrease as we go onwards. Actually, I made a few graphs on that. We can see that if we scroll down here, the cost of other sales right now, we are, remember, in Q2, the numbers that we have of Q2 of 2024. So this last data point here, the white part of the graph is the cost of other sales, and the blue is the actual revenue from the other sales. And usually we would love to see the blue one being more than the white one because the revenue should be more than the cost of sales. But right now it's not the case, which is means they are losing money on the battery swaps and all the other services. But also we can see that it's kind of quite quickly decreasing. And my projections point to that we are gonna essentially break even by end of next year. And they're not gonna make any more huge losses on the other sales right now. So at least that's going moving in the right direction. So when we consider all of this, and if you just, again, you've seen this probably before, I made these kind of extrapolations before, but I think we are moving quite clearly in the right direction. And maybe by Q4 of 2024, the net income will, or in this case again, the net loss will kind of be halved. And there's a scenario for me in this all of this that I'm still quite conservative. Remember that Nios gross margin that I counted on is a bit maybe conservative, especially compared to Xiaopeng. If the other sales and the infrastructure in terms of the battery swap system starts to be utilized more, there's a possibility that Nio actually makes a lot of money. We also know that if, according to the CEO, if Onvo is selling around 20,000 cars, which would be, let's say, by March, they could be kind of break even on Onvo already in Q2 of next year, which is Q2 of 2025. And in that scenario, the net loss would be probably less than what I expect right now, which is at 550 to 600 million by that time next year. So yeah, if Envoy is delivering, which right now they are definitely doing, remember that they clearly said that they would have 5,000 deliveries in October. And if we go back to the other Excel sheet, we can see that the deliveries total right now is at, let's see here, so 1200 plus 1800, that's 3000, and plus 200, so that's 3200 or so. These are rough estimates, but I think we are getting close to 4000 for October, so very close to the 5000 that they said. So yeah, it's possible. I mean, I definitely think that Nio is moving in the right direction, and for a company that's currently trading for $12 billion or so on a market cap basis, and expected to, I don't know, let's go to the graph again and see how much revenue we expect them to have for, let's say, Q4 of next year. So Q4 next year, 4.5 billion or so, let's say 4 billion if you're a bit conservative, times 4, that's 16 billion, right? So by end of next year, Nio will have a price to sales ratio less than 1, maybe, I don't know, 0.6, 0.7, based on the extrapolations and the current market cap. So yeah, I think this is very undervalued stock if they continue on this rate. Now, I have to be honest, there are some issues with these kind of companies, and we've seen before that they have kind of struggled a little bit in terms of deliveries. Maybe you'll see a massive dip in the weekly delivery numbers for 2 or 3 months. If that happens again, obviously it's going to affect the company because the company not doesn't make a lot of money right now. They're losing money right now. So they need to keep executing like they have done according to the last 2 or 3 months. But I think that's gonna do it for today. And remember the takeaway is that the EU tariffs is just nonsense for me. Not only on the face value, but as well like all the headlines that these newspapers keep pushing. This doesn't affect the Nio or Xpeng the slightest, in my opinion. At least not right now. Maybe in the future it will do when Nio and Xpeng have much higher sales in Europe. But right now, all they need to do is just continue on this path and sell in China. So yeah, please thank for your time, and please like and subscribe, and engage in a discussion, and see you in the next one.